So, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I like to invite the speaker, Mr. Vinod Chakravarti, who will talk about relevance of automation in modern farming. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rajni. Basically, I think I've been given 30 minutes of time to speak. What I would, probably look at sharing with you across this 30 minutes would be more of an overview in terms of what is relevant in today's times for modern farming, and in that basically automation. Right. So I'll be sharing a little bit of inputs on the infrastructure which is used on modern farming, be it on the various types of greenhouse or the irrigation systems, or methods of growing like natural growing or hydroponics, etc. And then build on to that in terms of various automation options available. Before starting, obviously, what I would look at is what is the purpose of automation? Right? What's the purpose in any field, not just farming? Usually, what we expect from automation, we would expect that our tasks become easier. Number one, our tasks become more accurate, and the instances and extent of error is reduced. Right. So typically, this is what we look at in automation. And in today's times, many of our farmer friends do share that labor has become a challenge, consistency, both in terms of manpower, as well as in quantity, as well as quality, right, becomes quite challenging at times. And to a certain extent, automation definitely can ease those issues, be it controlling through IoT or basic automation like timer based or slightly more advanced like sensor based, etc. Right. So fine. So let's get into our presentation. Like I said, I'm expecting, or my my understanding from today's meet is mostly when we are talking of automation for farming, obviously to a large extent I'll be addressing an audience who are looking at commercial farming, right? So that would be my focus. At the same point of time, if someone is looking at hobby farming or terrace farming, etc., I'd be happy to answer those queries also if there are any participants having questions on that in the Q&A session. Right. So basically, we are a turnkey hydroponics company at Hyperfarms, the company that I work in. And we also extend automation services for virtually all kinds of farming, traditional farming with drip irrigation, with base feeding, etc. We will cover some of the equipments which may be useful for various types of farming. Right. So before getting into that, I'll be sharing a little bit in terms of the types of greenhouses, because typically the purpose of various greenhouses will be different to meet the requirements of different crops, different climatic conditions, as well as different budgets that we may be having. My slide, is my screen visible?
The Google Doc is showing the drive. Google Drive.
Okay, one moment. Now is it visible?
Still not.
Okay, I'll just stop and share again.
Yeah.
Now I guess it's visible.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So this is the general presentation. I'll not go through all the slides in this. Basically, let me touch upon something which would be relevant to commercial farming, not necessarily hydroponics, but including hydroponics as well as any farming in greenhouses. Right. So basically, why would anyone look at commercial farming? Basically, what would be the purpose of the farming is what we would look at. And I'm sharing all this as a background to automation, because finally, whatever we decide on automation will depend on the other aspects also, like what are we going to grow, where are we going to grow, what is the topography over there, what is the terrain profile, etc. Someone who is already into farming, obviously, these factors are already in place. But at the same point of time, having an understanding of their existing infrastructure will also help them plan and work on the right kind of automation. Right. So again, when you're designing a farm, you also look at not only the top types of crops that you're going to grow, but also the kind of market that you would like to leverage or address, like B2B, B2C, etc. And within B2B, again, there would be various segments. Right. So ultimately, what is the goal of any commercial farm is to earn revenue, right? That has to be the main revenue. It is like running a factory, right? I mean, you give the required value addition to your customers, you give the quality product, and at the same point of time, to keep it sustainable, there has to be a sustainable revenue, right? So, what are the typical goals? Keeping revenue in mind, obviously consistency in crops. You're looking at consistency in quality and quantity, hygiene maintenance so that you have less number of pest and disease attacks, right? And maybe the right kind of integrated pest management also to be included. And at the one thing which is outside automation to a large extent, other than maybe on algorithms, is finding the right market to sell the produce profitably. Even in that case, I would usually for our customers, what we advise is we work backwards. We first find out the markets, the type of crops which yield better. Then we look at the farm and then advise them what to grow and suggest the required automation accordingly. Right. And thanks to climate change, it is also about being prepared for certain surprises in weather or other contingency plans. Right. So before even getting into the automation, what are the parameters that we need to look at for your farm? Obviously, the location, weather, what is the consumer buying power trend, etc. And then we plan on that. Right. If you look at the outcome of selecting those particular, working on those particular parameters. So most of the outcome will also help you decide on what kind of infrastructure you need to have for your farm, automation being one of it. Right. Some of the examples of leafy crops that you would be looking at. Most of these crops that we have presented here are related to hydroponics. But again, like I said, you can look at other crops also, which we will cover subsequently. Some of the exotic fruiting crops. Typically, we have tried to cover those crops over here as an example, which are consistent in margins, as well as they don't have much of fluctuations across the year. So in terms of the economic seasonality, they are quite consistent, right? Location and land selection. One of the critical aspects that you look at if you're looking at automation is power availability, right? if you're in a place where power is a challenge, either you will need to additionally invest in maybe solar or plan designs where you can use automation, but at the same point of time, your requirement of power can be as low as maybe 30 minutes a day to 1 hour a day. You will have other options where you need 24/7 electricity. So all these factors will help you decide on your type of farming that you do, the type of crops that you grow, as well as, like I said, what kind of automation that you would like to choose. Right. And again, the water quality, if it is of, let us say, like our municipal water, which is pretty good, maybe you need not invest in an RO. Certain qualities of water, maybe you need to invest in an RO plant, etc. Right. So we will look a little bit at the system selections. Most of what I'm going to show here is hydroponics. But again, if you look at the other images also, the same kind of drip irrigation that we would have used in grow bag systems or trough systems, similar to that can be used to grow in soil also. You'll be able to make out in the next slide. Right. So if you look at the substrate bed in which we are growing in trough systems, which is having nothing but coco pit, all the nutrients are water soluble, and it is being fed through drip irrigation. You will clearly get an idea that the same thing can be done when you're growing in soil also. Right? Nutrient film technique system or NFT system is a system where you have the water being circulated across the farm, and there is no wastage of water. So you probably save around 80% of water at least, because the water which flows to the plant comes back to the reservoir and it is continuously recirculated. Right? The substrate bag is for larger crops like your bell peppers, cherry tomatoes, English cucumber, etc. The other three, including the deep water culture, substrate bed, or the NFT system, are only for the leafy greens. Right. So here, one point I would like to mention is why we are showing these different systems, because all these different systems work on different parameters, and accordingly, your requirement of automation will also change. Right. Maybe when you're even on the types of greenhouses also it will change. Based on your types of growing system also it will change. Right. So let's have a quick look at the types of greenhouses. Mostly we would have seen the naturally ventilated polyhouse. That's the most popular and easily citable or available ones. So typically what are these? These have poly sheets on the top, which are at a considerable height to ensure that there is proper air circulation and ventilation. And towards the side, you have the insect-proof nets. Right, but the insect-proof nets are still allowing air circulation, air from outside to get inside and vice versa. So they are naturally ventilated polyhouse. A cheaper version would be your shade net house. A shade net house is usually we have seen green, but it may not necessarily be green. But these are basically the nets which bring down the amount of sunlight which enters the greenhouse. Simple as that. Right. So, and based on how much they obstruct the sunlight, they are typically categorized as 35% shade net, 50% shade net, 75% shade net, etc. Right. Shade net house typically will be used for a very low cost farming. Naturally ventilated polyhouse, while having the poly sheet on top, it can have shade net inside, which is retractable. To ensure that you're cutting off excess sunlight or allowing sunlight during cloudy weather, etc. Right, and you will also have foggers to control a little bit of humidity and temperature. What would be fan and pad structures? You can imagine, many of us would be having air coolers at home. So imagine being inside an air cooler instead of outside. and you'll very easily understand what an air cooler is. So one side is the pad, the other side is your exhaust fan, and the exhaust fan is sucking out the water vapor because the pad is continuously being, it is like a fountain. Continuously, you'll have water dripping on the pad. And in this mechanism, when the water is sucked out from the exhaust fan, the water vapor which traverses across the greenhouse will cool down the greenhouse, which is why this particular method is called evaporative cooling method, right? So fine. So I think these particular slides will give you a fair idea of the infrastructure. So I will straight away move to some of the automation and explain or try to share what kind of crops or what kind of farming methodology, what kind of automation would be useful. Okay, now just to add before that, since we have just passed 22nd September as the GST date, right? So all the automation which is included for drip irrigation, GST is now 5%. And the other automation, most of them are retained at 18%. So someone who's looking at the nutrient film technique that I covered, the automation rate is still continues to be 18%, whereas for the grow bag system or the trough system or soil-based irrigation system, the automation equipment also GST is now 5%. Right. So let me start with something for regular soil or for the grow bag system, where you're looking at is my screen visible on this?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah. Right. So Nutri mix is basically, for example, now let me talk a little bit about what our farmers need. We must understand that farmers need automation not only in terms of what is the functionality of the automation product, also in terms of the affordability, right? As well as the frequency in the automation being used, affordability, or in certain cases, I would say willingness to invest. It's not always affordability. Sometimes the farmers may not want to invest a higher amount for the simple reason that they would like to try with simpler automation equipment first and then expand it. For example, someone is having a 20-acre farm. They would like to start with a cheaper product, try it out maybe on a 1 acre, 2 acre, get satisfied, and then they expand it and scale it up to their entire farm. Right. So what are some of the lower cost automations available? Basically, these are for farms where you are doing the fertigation, right? So water soluble fertilizers, which are the dosed to the plants. So this is an example of a 3-channel automation equipment, which is a fertigation unit, right? So typically, what does this do? You can adjust the dosing flow. You can basically time, as well as you can ensure what should be the dosage of the nutrients that you are providing, as well as adjust. For example, if you're having, let us say, NPK being provided separately, right? For let us say zone A, you're having tomato crops. Zone B, you're having a different crop. So if you'd like to work on different ratios of NPK, that can easily be done over here in terms of changing the dosing for every zone as such, right? So that is one example. But what do the basic fertigation units like this not have, they will not be able to control your EC or pH, right? So EC and pH is what? Electrical conductivity as well as the acidity in the water. If that need not be monitored through sensors, then this is a good, kind of a automation to start with, right? And it's definitely a low cost. For example, single channel fertigation unit can start with 1.25 lakhs. 3-channel can start with 1.8 lakhs, etc. Right, and a slightly advanced feature of this, if you want, precision farming dosing, then you have something called a NutriPulse. Right, so in this you have complete inline injection fertigation. So you have precision farming as well as control of the EC and pH. So this can be used, for more consistency. And if you are looking at complete accuracy, especially with people who are doing it either at R&D stage, or if they are growing, let us say, medicinal plants where they want accurate quality of crops, or maybe in case of some exports also, obviously it will make sense to invest in something which will have a much higher kind of accuracy in your output, right? So these will start from around 5.5 lakhs onwards for a 3-channel. It goes up to 8 channels, right? So this is on the fertigation. Both of them very comfortably used in soil farming with the drip irrigation. Now, what about someone who is basically, says, no, I'm doing complete organic farming. I don't need any fertigation. I just need, drip irrigation for providing the quality water at the right time. And I would like to manage it again by IoT. Plus, I have a large farm where I would like to have it managed on a wireless basis. So you can have your entire farm connected by solenoid valves, and we can provide you automation of plain drip irrigation, just water, according to different zones of the farm at different timings. And all this can be set and controlled through your cell phone itself. And even if places where you do not have electricity connectivity, or you do not have GPS signals, so these can very comfortably work on the walkie-talkie technology. So even if you don't have the mobile data signals over there, this can function. And every receiver for the valves can come with their own solar panel. So a small solar panel, so they can always work in the absence of electricity also. Right. So this is what we call a valve expert. One of the basic features which a lot of farmers like, and the simple thing is it gives you complete control on your irrigation. And it's very simple. Either you're doing base feeding of your plants, or you're doing organic manure and you're just watering the plants as per the requirement. And you can keep changing the timing as per the seasonal requirements, right? And all our equipments also come with pump protection features. So that's also one of the you can say one of the requirements for the farmers is that every time there's a change in phase from 3-phase to single phase, you don't want your staff to run around there, switch off the pump and then switch it on. So all these things can be easily controlled with automation. Okay, so I have a couple of minutes left. Maybe I'll quickly cover one more, which would be, as of now, I've only covered what is there for the plant feeding. This particular feature is more for greenhouses, where you would like to control the climate inside the greenhouse. right? It can be for a poultry farm, it can be for your regular crops also, anything which is in a greenhouse. Typically, what would you like to control for your plants? Humidity and temperature, right? So again, this can be sensor based, so that whatever is according to either the poultry or other animals that you are rearing there, or according to the plants that you are growing inside the greenhouse, you can set the required temperature and humidity, and then let the equipment take care of your requirement. Simple as that, right? Connected to the foggers or the fan and pad greenhouse. So you can see temperature is 24.7, humidity 60%. Typically, plants like around 50 to 60% humidity, 60% ideally. So this can be very comfortably controlled. Right. So obviously, I've just given a very gentle overview since I had only 30 minutes. So before we wind up on my speaking time allotted, which is 30 minutes, we'll very quickly show you some of the projects on the hydroponic side for you to have a look. These are some of the places where we have done our projects. Right. And we have also done some in our overseas, even in small islets like this, right? It looks small from here, but we are talking of a 10-acre project over here, right? And we have done leafy greens as well as other crops like tomatoes, melons, etc. And some of the indoor farms. And we have some of the leafy greens in the hydroponics. And these are the fruiting crops. Right. And these are the trough systems where again the drip irrigation is being used for them. So I guess this is a deep water culture. More or less, I've tried to quickly show you different types of growing methods. Needless to say, all of these are also under automation. So yeah, I think my given time of 30 minutes is over, Ms. Rajni.
If you'd like to explain a bit more, you can go ahead. You can take another 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. So any participants or any questions from your side?
Yeah, questions are there. Once you complete,
Right.
I'll take up the questions.
Done. Sure. So fine. I guess in terms of infrastructure, more or less I've covered it. So if you'd like me to just probably show a little bit more about what we have done in this, I can share. So we started as Garden Guru, which was one of India's first online platform for project consulting as well as for an online store. We continue with that for our online training facilities. And we started Hyperfarms as a private limited company in 2017. Currently, we have set up around 25 plus commercial farm projects across India. And we have done around 10 acres plus in Maldives, which is currently the largest hydroponic farm in Maldives as a country. We are also, as we speak, doing projects in Malaysia, and we are doing consulting for other companies in other Middle East countries. We have trained students in UK, Ghana, etc. Initially, we started doing automation only for our own hydroponic farms. That is how we got into automation as a company. We also realized the cost of importing automation from countries like New Zealand or even Israel, etc., which motivated us to come out with lower cost, customized, India-centric automation solutions. So that is where you find us now. And 2024 onwards, we have been actually doing automation for our own country requirements also. But among whatever images or catalogs that I shared with you, we don't do standalone products. So what we do is for every farm, we understand that farm's requirement and we thoroughly customize our automation and we deliver to the farms. So it's not like when we deliver, it will be a plug and play for our customer. But we do not, just give a off-the-shelf product. It is thoroughly customized to look at every farm's requirement. And to what extent do we customize? You can say even the software coding is changed for every farm to suit the functionality of those particular farms. Right. So yeah, I think Ms. Rajni, that's all I have to share from my side.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vinod, for the detailed presentation. Now I'll take up some questions.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. So the first question is, which farming operations benefit most from automation
Sorry,
spraying?
I lost you. Which farming most from?
Which farming operations benefit the most from automation in Indian conditions? Example, irrigation, fertigation, spraying, and harvesting.
Right. Okay, got it. So I would I would probably say it depends. For example, every crop is different, every region is different, right? So on a blanket level, it will be difficult to answer that. But at the same point of time, for example, if someone is, let us say, growing in orchards, right? Someone growing apples or sapota, whatever, in different locations. Again, if you're growing that, probably your requirement of automation will be very simple. You can probably have the Valve expert kind of simple drip irrigation with the base feeding for the plants, etc. Even for coconut, arecanut, etc. Someone who's growing bell peppers or colored bell peppers or cherry tomatoes, zucchini, cucumber, etc., would probably do much better by using the fertigation units, right? And someone who's growing leafy greens on the hydroponic channels, let us say, would do better by using another product which I didn't show here, which is called HydroPulse. So basically, every type of farming meets a different requirement. So you can never say which farming is best or which automation is best. It's about optimizing what suits you. And again, your requirement will be different right from your budget to the pricing that you get for your producers in your place, right? So we can have automation done for indoor farming also. But will that expense justify if you're not able to get a price for it, right? So case to case, it has to be looked at. Overall, what I would say is, for most of our crops in India, someone who's starting freshly with automation, who's already into farming, but automation being new, you can start with the drip irrigation and invest in probably to begin with either you can invest in the valve controls or the basic fertigation units so that you experience automation with a lower cost, and then you can always scale up as and when your business expands in the farming and once you gain confidence in that.
Okay. You can stop sharing the screen, Mr. Vinod.
Oh, it's still being shared, is it? Sorry.
The Zoom page was showing. Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
Is automation equally relevant for smallholder farmers?
Okay, so what is small, right? So for someone who's growing in 30 acres, a 1 acre, 2 acre is a farm, small farm. Someone who's growing in a 2 acre farm, for him, a quarter acre is a small farm. So it's a relative term, right? So again, I would, someone who's growing at home on a terrace, that is a small farm for them. So it is all about your requirement and convenience, right? If for example, let me take a terrace farm also. If I'm traveling most of the time, but I would need my terrace farm to be maintained in my absence, probably automation makes sense. Similarly, even if I'm having a quarter acre or a half acre, now if I have to employ a person who has to be paid for the complete month, whereas for a quarter acre, I may not need a person to be working there across the day, right? So maybe coming once in alternate day also or something else can work. So if I can have automation managed to that extent and save my labor cost, uh, just to take an example, why not? So it all depends, on the scale in which you are having your farm. What are the challenges you are facing? Main thing is we need to list down what challenges we have in our farm and to what extent will I be able to resolve those challenges with customized automation. Right? And then we can probably address those challenges and come to you with a customized automation. At that point of time, you can take a call. Okay, this particular challenge X can be resolved through automation Y, and this is the cost for that particular automation. Now, spending so much to resolve these challenges, which whether it will make sense or not, right? So it's about bringing down whatever is our subjective query to numbers, getting our challenges into numbers, getting our expectations into numbers, looking at costing as a reality into numbers, then it becomes easy for us to take a decision.
Okay. Still your Zoom page I can see.
Oh,
You can click on stop.
yeah. I mean, here it is. Did it go now?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. How does automation integrate with existing farm practices, especially traditional farming methods?
Okay. Let us put this way. Traditional farming, of course, within traditional farming, there are a whole lot that we can discuss that can end up being another session. But if I take the example, let us say of organic farming as one of the traditional farming, right? Now, in organic farming also, you still need to provide water to the plants, right? You would not like to waste water by targeting, let the water go where the plant's roots are instead of just across, so that water is saved. Because when you are saving water that way through drip irrigation, you are saving electricity also, right? So obviously today traditional farming doesn't mean 10 acres, 15 acres, even 1 acre. Someone is going to manually want. You are still going to need drip irrigation. So in that you can, like I said, you can use the wall control methods, etc. You can also give water soluble organic nutrients through the fertigation units. What happens is you're ensuring that you're targeting the feeding of the plants, thereby reducing the wastage of the manure or even the electricity. So these are some of the areas in which I feel automation can work. If you're doing traditional farming in protected cultivation, like in a greenhouse, etc., then probably there one advantage you'll have is because you can maintain the humidity and temperature again through the climate control automation, etc. So obviously your instances of having the fungal diseases to the plants or other issues, right, like downy mildew or other things, that can also be reduced, right? So when you're reducing the instances of diseases to the plants, obviously your application of even biofungicides, etc., that also gets reduced. So obviously it's like taking a balanced line. So when I use a poly sheet, obviously, was it traditional 50 years, 100 years ago? No. But then are we today living in a climate which was there 50, 100 years ago? No. But at least the actual growing of the plants, you can continue maintaining it traditional when you want to go organic. But somewhere, manage it with a little bit of artificial constructions where you're maintaining the climate, etc., without compromising much on the actual way you're growing the plants. So I guess that would be, finally, what is better? Having a case where you're having more fungal infections or preventing them. Obviously, preventing is a much better way of farming than addressing the cures, right? So that's it. Yeah, that's just one example. But typically, I feel even in open farming, drip irrigation through automation can always help in traditional farming.
Okay. And can automation be customized for different crops and climate zones?
Very much. It has to be customized, which is why, like I was sharing, we do not give an off-the-shelf product for any of the farms. We have the larger formats ready for various requirements. It is always customized for every farm. So it's not just about customizing for the crops. We have to customize according to the terrain and the climate of those particular crops also. Even if I'm growing the same crop in Ooty or Bangalore, or let us say in Neemrana in Rajasthan, or if I grow in Uttarakhand, right? Even if they are the same crops, my requirement in automation as well as crop maintenance will change.
Okay. And what is the typical cost of adopting automation systems, and how can be farmers expect a return on investment?
See, I think overall, when you look at it, it depends on the size, right? For example, if someone is doing a 5-acre farm, a one-time cost of, depending, for example, we have costs starting from 1 lakh plus, right? It can go up to 10 lakhs also. But when you look at whatever is the crop which is being grown, what is the pricing in which the farmer is able to sell, etc. If we have data for the last, maybe 5 years or 10 years, etc., for that particular farm, we can easily, work backwards and suggest, you can restrict your budget to so and so to keep your ROI in reality, and then work around that budget to give an automation which is optimal for the farm, right? So, for example, someone who's earning, let us say, around 10 lakhs per acre will not mind investing in a fertigation of 5.5 lakhs, which is a one-time cost. Someone who's earning, let us say, maybe around 2 or 3 lakhs per acre may consider saying, okay, let me push that later on. Let me start with the basic fertigation units, which may be around 1.5 to 2 lakhs, right? Even a lower cost, around 55,000, below 1 lakh rupees also, they can start with the valve controllers. So it's about, it's always looking at what you're earning from the farm and then working backwards and investing in the automation. So if you have to change your revenue model, you have to change your crops. Automation is not going to change your revenue model. It's only going to ease your way of working, right? It's always what are you going to sell? You're only going to sell your crops. You're not going to sell your automation. So automation is more like an assistant to your tasks.
Okay. And are there cooperative or shared service models to make automation more affordable for small farmers?
Yeah, very much. So, for example, small farmers, again, small farmers for me would be what size, right? So, one thing is there, I think for today, in today's economy, even if I talk of 1 lakh is very much relatively affordable for most of the farmers. They do get the subsidized loan also from in many of the states. And if anyone would like to start with much cheaper options, they can go for the basic valve control, in which case, depending on the number of zones that they have. Initially, if they would like to start with just a couple of zones, they can very much start with investments of as low as 50,000 also. So automation can be done at almost every level of budget.
Okay.
Including, for example, for terrace farms, right? So someone who's growing in, let us say, 500 square feet or a 10,000 square feet, their requirement of automation can also be met with, let us say, approximately around 3 to 4,000 rupees also. But obviously that cannot be scaled up. But what I'm saying is every farm's requirement, there will be a realistic budget within which automation can be provided.
Okay. And what are the main barriers to adopting farm automation? Cost, that is cost, technical skills, or infrastructure?
I would say main barrier is electricity, in the sense you need to look at how consistently and how long is electricity available at the farm. Cost, I would say, because you have various options available, cost cannot be a barrier if you are if your expectations are reality, right? Match reality. If your expectations match reality, okay, this is my budget. This is the extent to which I can start with automation. You can start with the basic automation. Let your farm consistently earn profits. Keep aside a little bit of those profits to invest in automation further. You can always build upon your automation. So I wouldn't say pricing as such is much of a barrier unless someone wants to jump all in and do the complete automation on one go, right? And that is not required. We can always do it incrementally as per the comfort. We obviously need to look at the budget of the farmer and the, like I said, the revenue that the farm is earning, and have a realistic number and work on providing automation within that bandwidth as such.
Okay. And how can farmers in rural areas manage the maintenance and technical support of automated systems?
That's simple, because most of these automation equipment are quite simple. Like I said, even in remote areas, if there is no GPS connectivity at the farm, we do have designs available, options available, where they can work on radio signals, they can work on standalone solar panels, etc. So that is not an issue. And obviously, even in the remotest of villages, once they come back to their residence, at least they are bound to have mobile connectivity. So getting support for their any troubleshooting or any doubts that they have regarding their automation can always be supported over a video call. Right. Obviously, every automation comes with its instruction manual and videos, etc. But whenever they have challenges, as a service provider, we can definitely support them on video calls.
Okay. And how do you see automation shaping the future of Indian agriculture in the next decade?
Okay, so let me put it as a question. Realistically, you consider this, 20 years back, how many farmers were there? How many of their children have continued with farming? Okay. 20 years back, how many laborers were available at the farms? Today, how many laborers are available? You yourself will get a very clear idea of what will be the challenges going forward. Mainly, labor is becoming expensive and labor is becoming inconsistent. So I think, at the same point of time, consumption is increasing because our population is increasing, right? So do you see any alternative to automation? I don't see it. Right? It's not about an opportunity or where automation is going. Automation has already become a necessity. Most of the farmers are doing some kind of basic automation, or they're thinking about it, and there is no other alternative. The way we automate may change across the next 10 years, 20 years. Obviously, things will improve. right? And technology is that way. It will become more efficient. It'll become more user friendly. Things are bound to improve, but automation is here to stay.
Right. Okay. And are there any government initiatives or subsidies or private financing options available to support automation in farming?
Absolutely. So I wouldn't know much on the private financing. According to various state horticultural boards, the process may change a little, but most horticultural boards do give subsidy for drip irrigation, including automation. Similarly, they give it for polyhouses also. Most of the factors which are included in agriculture, including modern agriculture, they are all covered under subsidies. So one can visit the relevant state horticultural board's website, or you can visit the National Horticultural Board website. You'll be able to get the details.
Okay. Just 1 second. Just 2 more questions. What role do data, sensors, and AI play in making automation more precise and farmer friendly?
So simple, right? I mean, sensors obviously are more efficient than timers because they are going to sense the real-time parameters and operate the equipment. Obviously, AI, I think it's currently it is slightly overused as a term, but then yeah, when you look at machine learning, basically the equipment over a period of time, it will become as efficient as the quality of data that we provide the machine, which as backend we definitely do. And going forward, there will be many parameters. For example, we feed someone who's growing cabbage. This is the ideal humidity and this is the ideal temperature, etc. And cabbage belongs to a brassica variety of plants, right? So going forward, if you grow some other brassica variety of plants, so the equipment through its AI will be able to figure out, right? I mean, you are going to reach a stage where the probably I'm not saying something which is available with us now, but again, when we are talking of the future, you can very well imagine whatever crops you put, the machine through its camera recognizes what crop it is, and that's enough. It will straight away adjust its parameters for the humidity, temperature, etc. Why not, right? It is possible now also, but finally it is not financially viable today to have that kind of AI-based automation. Over a period of time, it's going to become affordable. Simple as that.
Okay. And are there examples where farmers have successfully adopted automation and improved their incomes?
Many. I mean, you just have to Google, you'll get a whole lot of them. There is, I mean, I think there are less examples where farmers have failed by investing in automation. The more examples are obviously, I mean, you're reducing wastage of water, you're reducing wastage of electricity, you're reducing cost on manpower, you're reducing unnecessary spraying of pesticides and fungicides, etc. Right? And where you can fail, if you over invest in automation, you can fail. But if you take the right guidance and keep within your budget and you invest in automation, I mean, these are some common sense parameters that we have discussed where, where can it be a failure? You will actually reduce on your costs and efforts. So you save time, you save cost, it turns into better profits for you. Simple as that.
Okay.
Right. I mean, if someone would like to visit some of our customers, a farm visit can also be arranged. You can message me at any point of time. To have a hands-on look at how automation is working along with maybe hydroponics or the greenhouse, whatever. Right. So what can be better than actually going and seeing some farms rather than conceptually discussing about it?
Right, exactly. Okay, Mr. Vinod. So I don't see any more questions. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we'd like to thank you for the detailed presentation and answering all the questions.
My
We'll be
pleasure.
ending this meeting now.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Rajni. Thanks for
You're
your
most
time.
welcome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Bye.